So the reason God didn't kill everybody before Jesus came is because he was looking at Jesus, not the people. So what the high priest does every year by bringing the blood is a shadow of the cross. So when the high priest shows up with the blood, he reminds God that Jesus is coming. Jesus will be hung on the cross. And so because God now sees into the future that Jesus is on the cross, he overlooks their sin. So the people in the Old Testament were not forgiven. The sins of the people in the Old Testament was covered because God was seeing the cross of Jesus. And what helped God to see the cross of Jesus is the ritual that the high priest does every year when he takes the blood to the Holy of Holies. So that ritual does not engender forgiveness. That's why the Bible says God does not forgive sin because of the blood of bulls and cattle. Those things can't make God forgive sins. But those things remind God. Those things remind God that the blood that has the stature to forgive sin is coming. And these people are paying their allegiance and trust to that finished works. So why God sees this, he sees Christ on the cross. Because of that, God piled up their sins and covered it and kept it, waiting for the cross of Jesus. This is why it was after Jesus resurrected that the Abraham bosom ended. Because what God did was that everybody that came to him from Abraham, there was a bosom that God created and kept them there while their sin was yet covered. Because the only way to the Father is Christ. He said, I am the way. He didn't say, I am a way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. He said, no one cometh to the Father but by me. So all the prophets that died couldn't go to the Father. He kept them in a place in the spirit. So when Jesus resurrected, the Bible said they saw the prophets. So before Jesus, men who believed in God and what God promised were kept in a place called Abraham's bosom. After Jesus resurrected, there was no need for Abraham's bosom anymore. He said he led captivity captive and he delivered men in his train. So Jesus carried them into him. That's why now Paul said absence from the body is presence with the Lord. So what the Bible is teaching us is everybody that existed before the cross and everybody that sinned before meeting the cross, it said all of those sins were either kept until they met the cross, or for those, now let me explain it in a more clearer form. Those like Elijah, Moses, Abraham, and all the saints of old that died before Jesus came, their sins were covered. After Jesus came, because they believed in God and his forgiving power in faith, what God did was that he credited their faith into the current dealings of God and washed away their sins. But you and I came after the cross. So our past sins, the moment we met Jesus, the sins were washed away. The question now is, going forward, we will still sin. What will happen?